Hello Year 11, welcome to revision week 6. In this session we are looking at LANs, WANs, topologies and network hardware. There's a lot of content we're revising on networks, so please make sure you pay full attention and complete the sheet. Okay, can you get revision sheet 5 from your revision pack please? Revision sheet 5, we are looking to complete the whole of this sheet today. Okay, revision sheet 5, get that ready and then continue on the video. Okay, so to start off with, think about what is a computer network. A computer network is two or more computer systems that have been linked together. It could be two or it could be hundreds. And it allows data and information to be sent between the different computer systems that are connected. Okay, that is a computer network. We started off by looking at what a LAN is, a local area network. A network that covers a small geographical area on a single site. For example, a school, a small business or home, even a home network is a LAN, a local area, small geographical area. All the hardware in a LAN is owned by the organization or the house that use it. Okay, all the hardware is owned by them. It's not rented. A LAN could be from 2 PCs to hundreds, and it can be wired or wireless. And each device in the LAN is called a node. They're all connected together. Why use a LAN? You can share files easily. Users can access the same files on a shared drive. You can share hardware easily. Things like printers can be shared between all the users on the network. You can share an internet connection easily. One internet connection can be accessed by all the users on the house or network. You can easily update software. For example, one computer can be used to update the software on the whole network. You can communicate and monitor all LAN users, just like I monitor in the classroom computers in the classroom. And you can log in from any device on the network because all the accounts are in a central stored place. Okay, so how is a wide area network different? We've just looked at LAN. What is different about a WAN, wide area network? Well, this is where you have different LANs connected in different geographical locations. It could be across a city, across the country, or even across the world. So you've got multiple LANs connected in different locations. There's one, there's one, there's one, and they're all connected together through a shared network. Okay, multiple LANs connected in different geographical locations. It could be, for example, a business with different offices in 3 different cities or even different countries, and WAN would connect these all together. The main difference, however, is in a WAN, in a LAN, all the hardware is owned by the company, but in a WAN, some of the infrastructure, for example, communication lines, broadband, and things like that, is hired. Some of the infrastructure is hired. You would normally hire it from a company such as Sky or BT, but you would not go and bury your own wires in the street and things like that. You would hire it from a company. So some of the infrastructure is hired. It's more expensive to set up a WAN than a LAN because, again, you are using more hardware over a big distance. And you may be connected using things like copper cables, fiber optic, satellites, or even radio links. And the biggest example of a WAN in the world is the internet. Okay, the thing you use pretty much every day, the internet, is a WAN. Okay, pause now and fill in the sheets on the left hand side, the LAN and the WAN sections. What is a LAN? What are the benefits? What is a WAN? And how is it different to a LAN? Pause and then check your answers. Okay, so checking your answers, you should have this. LAN, a network that covers a small geographic area on a single site. All the LAN hardware is owned. You can share hardware, you can share internet connection, and you can share files. Those are the 3 easiest things to remember, the 3 benefits. You can also log in from any devices, monitor users, and easy to install software. A WAN, a network that connects different LANs in different geographical locations, and it's over a much wider geographical area, and some of the infrastructure is hired. Check your answers and improve if needed. Okay, so now we've looked at the different types, the main types of network, LANs and WANs. We look at topologies. So when you have a network, a topology is the layout of the network or layout of hardware in the network. There are actually lots of different topologies, but for the exam you only need to be confident on two, the star and the mesh. So as we said, there are different ones, bus, ring, star and mesh, but the star and the mesh are the main ones that you need to know. The topology, the layout of the network or layout of hardware in the network. So the star topology. In a star topology, each device is connected by its own cable or own Wi-Fi connection to a central switch or server. Generally, this in the middle here is a central switch that connects all the devices together, and it can be wired or wireless. Good things about it: if one cable breaks, say for example this cable here broke, okay, the rest of the network would still be fine. And it's really simple to add more devices. I could simply put a new cable in and a new PC in there. Okay, it's very simple to add more devices. Data, it goes straight to the source instead of around, so it's better performance. And there are very few data collisions because the data goes direct to the location where it needs to go to. However, if the central switch in the middle breaks, the whole network would be affected. If this central switch here breaks, the whole network would go offline. Okay? And in a wired network, every device needs its own wire, so it can be quite expensive. But generally, the main bad thing is if the central switch breaks, the whole network goes offline. Mesh. What's different about a mesh? Well, in a mesh network, it is decentralized. That means there is no central switch or server. There is no central point in the middle. Okay? There's no center point where it can fail or break. Data is sent along the fastest route. So whatever wire is the fastest, data goes along that wire. Okay? It is quick because it can go across the fastest route as well. However, it can be quite expensive with lots of cables needed, but it's much cheaper now if you use wireless instead. But the main point is decentralized, no central switch or server. And there are two types of mesh network, partial and full. We'll look at the diagram, it clearly shows the difference between this. Full mesh network, every single computer has a cable going between it. Every device is connected to every other device. In a partial mesh, only some of the devices are connected. Okay, so data might have to go through another device to get to it. They are not all directly connected. So on your sheet now, fill in the section on topologies, definition, star mesh, and what's the difference between a partial and full mesh. Pause the video and then check your answers on the next part. Okay, so this is what you should have. Topology, the layout of the network, of hardware in the network. Star, good things about it, devices connected to a central switch. Pros, if one device fails, the rest of the network is fine. Cons, if the switch fails, the whole network stops. Mesh, it is decentralized. There is no central switch or server. Devices connect directly or indirectly to each other and data goes along the fastest route. Good things about it, there's no point where the network can fail. And cons, lots of wires needed if it's a wired network. And what's the difference between a partial and full? On a partial, only some devices are connected. On a full network, all the devices are connected to each other. Check your answers, improve if needed. Okay, so we've looked at types of networks, LANs and WANs. We've looked at the topologies of the networks. There is one final section to do today looking at hardware, the hardware used in the network. So let's have a look. There are several main pieces of hardware which you need to know about. The first one is this one here. This is the network interface card, or the NIC. The network interface card is a piece of hardware that allows a device to connect to a network. It could be a separate card or it could be built into the motherboard of the device. Okay, a network interface card can be both wired or wireless. So it could use a wire connecting into it, or it could be wireless transmitted using Wi-Fi. Every device that connects to a network needs a network interface card in some format. Every network interface card has a MAC address linked to it. A MAC address. This is so that it can access the network. A MAC address is a hexadecimal code that's assigned to it. Remember, we looked at hexadecimal, and it's given to a device, so it can be accessed or found on the network. Without it, a device cannot access a network. This second one is a switch. This is a switch. It comes in different sizes and different shapes and things. Okay, but a switch basically allows devices to connect on the network. It connects all the devices on a LAN. All the devices plug into it. Every device has a separate little port that plugs in using a cable or possibly wireless. The switch knows the MAC address of all the devices connected. It's very clever. It knows the addresses, a bit like a post office, sorting office. Okay? It receives data in something called frames, little chunks called frames, and then transmits the data to the correct MAC address or correct device. It knows the MAC address and sends it to the correct device. So not everyone gets the data, only the correct device. Okay? Data goes through the wires to the switch. It reads the data and then sends it on to the correct device using the MAC address. Switches. What's this one? Well, this is the one you have in your home. This is a router, or router, possibly an American. Routers. A router transmits data between networks. It's always connected to at least two different networks, from a LAN to a WAN, for example, from your home to the internet. It's very important on the internet. It directs data on the internet. Okay, so data is sent from different routers on the internet, and we look at that in a later video. But the main use you have them at home or offices to connect your home LAN network to the internet, the WAN. It goes between a network, transmits data between different networks. And the final piece of hardware we're looking at today is a WAP, or wireless access point. Wireless access, simply you are transmitting data without wires, wirelessly. So it's used to connect to a data without wires or wirelessly. And it uses a protocol, a standard called Wi-Fi. The protocol is the Wi-Fi protocol, which we look at revise later. Okay, so every device needs a network interface card with wireless, and it connects to the WAP, the wireless access point, transmitting data wirelessly using Wi-Fi. Remember, data is sent through the air using radio waves, and the Wi-Fi protocol. Okay, check your sheet now. You are filling in this sheet the four devices: NIC, switch, router, and WAP. What is it? And try and tell me one fact about it. Okay, take a minute before then checking the answers on the next part of the video. So, you should now check your answers, please. Improve the answers if you're missing parts. NIC, network interface card, used to connect devices on the network, contains the unique MAC address. Switch, used to connect devices on the LAN, receives data in frames and transmits it onwards by reading the MAC addresses. Router, transmits data between networks, for example from a LAN to a WAN, and it reads the IP address, which we'll look at later on, and transmits as packets. And finally, WAP, wireless access point, allows devices to connect wirelessly using the Wi-Fi protocol. And it can either be 2.4 or 5 GHz. Again, we'll look at that later on. Check your answers and improve if needed. Okay, final part of this week then. You are going to go to Learn QMD, and I want you to complete Revision Quiz 6. Revision Quiz 6. Try each question, click the check button, and then try again if it's not correct. Okay, you are aiming to get 100% by the end of the quiz. Please do this now. Good luck. See you in the next revision video.